Now, with the expanding popularity of sport utility vehicles, you would think that full-size sedans would become an endangered species. Surprisingly, that's not the case, as earlier this year I showed you guys the full redesign of the Buick LaCrosse, and this week Kia has sent me over one of the LaCrosse's main competitors. Let's take an in-depth look at the 2017 Kia Cadenza. Now, everybody knows that Kia has made really big improvements in their lineup throughout the years. Just take a look at the company's current crop of vehicles. I mean, they have a $60,000 plus K900 in the lineup, which would have been extremely perplexing just 5 years ago to pay that much for a Kia. However, the company has really made a lot of big improvements, and the fact that they just showed us an all-new rear-drive sports sedan, the Stinger GT, in Detroit earlier this year is really showing where the company is going in the next couple of years. Now, for 2017, Kia has actually given their full-size sedan, the one below the K900, a full redesign. Now, if you guys remember, I did a full review on the Kia Cadenza way back in 2014. This replaced the unloved Kia Amante, which literally looked like a knockoff of a Jaguar and a Mercedes. And the Cadenza was a pretty big hit, at least for me. I really liked the styling. It was very Audi-like. The driving dynamics were much improved, the ride quality was improved, the interior was roomy and luxuriously appointed, and I was a little surprised to see Kia redesign this thing pretty early. It was only 3 years into the model year, at least for the US. However, the Cadenza name had been in other parts of the world, I believe, since like 2010. But anyways, this second generation Cadenza takes a more evolutionary approach with the styling. It takes everything that we know about Kia's current design language, the Tiger Nose grille, and kind of elevates it and gives it a little bit more of an identity. Instead of looking very Audi-like like the previous model, this second generation one definitely has its own unique styling elements. I especially like the headlights in the front. Most models will have these full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, LED turn signals, LED fog lights, and the LED daytime running light is an interesting amber color. It's definitely different. Most manufacturers go with the traditional white running light, but it's definitely going to give this thing a unique look when you see it going down the road. Now, coming around the sides, you can see my tester is the SXL, the limited trim. This is the top of the line model. It comes with these 19-inch dark chrome finished alloy wheels. If you guys go for the trim level below this one, it'll give you a different look for the 19-inch wheels, and then 18-inch wheels are standard. I think the wheels look nice. They fill it out, the wheel wells, nicely as well. And this vehicle is a full-size sedan, but it's not as big as you might expect it to be, like a Taurus, for example. The overall length is about 195 inches long. The wheelbase is about 112 inches long. So compared to the Optima, the company's midsize offering, this vehicle is only about 2 to 4 inches longer in terms of the wheelbase and the overall length, which makes the size a lot more manageable. Now, out back, the taillights are certainly handsome. LED taillights are included, of course, and you still have that interesting Z shape in the taillights that mimics the front headlights. And then, of course, you have this integrated dual exhaust system, and I think the look is really nice. I think that Kia has done a really good job with their current design language, and I think it also looks a little bit more upscale and premium and expensive versus the redesigned Optima that I showed you guys last year as well. Now, under the hood, you only get one engine choice. It's a 3.3-liter direct injection V6 paired with an 8-speed automatic and front-wheel drive. It's one of the big differences between this and the Optima is the Cadenza gives you a V6, whereas the Optima only gives you a 4-cylinder only lineup. But anyways, enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see some of the changes that Kia has made for 2017. Now, somewhat surprisingly, my vehicle is the top-of-the-line SXL, and it doesn't have remote start. Here is the current key fob for the Cadenza. It's a little bit of a cheap-feeling key. I'm not really a fan of the look, but the vehicle does have smart entry. To lock the door, just push this button here. That locks the door, and then you can see the mirrors electrically fold in. To unlock it, there's no sensor on the back of the handle. You have to touch the button again, and that unlocks the door for you. Now, Looking at the interior of the redesigned Cadenza, you can see it's very impressive at a glance. I really love the diamond quilted leather that you get on the SXL trim. Only the Maxima is the other vehicle in this segment to offer the diamond quilted leather. And you can see the interior is rather simple yet premium looking, and it's definitely going to make a good first impression at a glance. I especially like the brown color that my tester is showing as well. Now, stepping inside, you can see the step-in height is really nice. It's not, SUV high, but it's really easy to get in and out of this vehicle. And shutting the door, there's the annoying little welcome chime. The door sounds pretty solid when it shuts, so that's really good. This is an all-new platform. I don't expect anything less. Now, to start the vehicle up, just put your foot on the brake and then push the button here to fire up the engine. You can see the steering wheel is power tilt telescoping. I like that little system check thing that it shows you in the graphics for the instrument panel. And you can see overall the interior is rather impressive looking. The SXL trim gives you a couple of other niceties. You can see there's a stitched leather dash. It's all soft touch. There's some more soft touch materials here on the lower portion of the dash. Right here it is hard touch plastic, but what covers the glove box door is a little bit more of a rubberized feel. The wood grain in here is a nice looking wood grain. It is fake, unfortunately, but it's really convincing. I like the fact that it looks really expensive. The door panels here are also soft touch on the upper portions, not leather stitched though. It is leather stitched down here and down here where your elbows are going to rest, and then you have some silver trim here with more of that faux wood grain. Now, the piano black plastic trim is not really my favorite. It does look nice, but it's going to show scratches and fingerprints pretty easily, so that's something you're going to want to keep clean. The windows are one touch for only the front. I kind of wish Kia had done with all four. This is not really their flagship, but almost their flagship stand, so I'm surprised it's not one touch for all four. Now, the steering wheel, you can see, is a nice three-spoke design. It's got leather stitching on the airbag cover, which is good. You have your traditional steering wheel controls here for the cruise control, for the audio switches. You do have paddle shifters, which is surprising since this vehicle is not very fun to drive. But the gauges are very Audi-like. They're really simple, easy to read. You can change the way the display looks by using the little toggle right here, which it'll cycle between, what your drive mode is, your fuel economy information, your trip information. Push this button here, it'll show you your GPS, your tire pressure monitoring, and then you can change your settings in there along with the digital speedo. Now, coming to the center stack here, let's talk about the infotainment system, because this is the latest 8-inch Kia Yuvo infotainment system. When you go to the home page here, you can see it shows you half your navigation, your radio choices, or your radio station, and then whatever menus you want to set. Going to your radio functions here, I really like the touch response on this system. It's pretty quick to use. It's really easy to use. I like the fact that Kia gives you lots of knobs and buttons here. Knob for your climate control, it's dual zone automatic. Knob for your tuning or your volume, and then your tuning right here. Going to the map display, you can see push here map here. You can see it's the traditional, Kia head unit here. It's nothing really special. It doesn't really impress you, if you guys are coming from a luxury brand, but it gets the job done. The graphics are okay, and it's also really easy to use. Now, going to the radio station here, you can see you have satellite radio, FM, AM. You do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as well, so if you guys want to plug in your phone, you can get that feature. Now, putting the vehicle into reverse, you can see here there is a really nice 360-degree camera. You only get this feature on the SXL models and up. The lower trims will give you a backup camera as standard. It gives you trajectory. It gives you distant rear parking sensors, not front ones though. It really helps making this vehicle a lot easier to park when you guys are in tight spaces. Looking down here at the center stack, you can see lots of storage here. There is a wireless charging pad right here if your phone's compatible, along with your USB, a little more storage. Your cup holders are right here. This controls the new 8-speed automatic. That's one of the big differences between this year and last year's model. Last year's model had a 6-speed automatic. This is a Kia design transmission. So we'll get into the driving dynamics later on. You can see heated and cooled seats for both front seats, heated steering wheel. Your drive mode here is interesting because this vehicle offers 4 drive modes. There's Comfort, Eco, Sport, and then Smart. I will leave it in Smart most of the times. This is basically where the car's computer will adjust the driving mode based on how you're driving the vehicle. We'll go into that later on in the test drive. Looking down here, you can see the center console. I like that it opens up in 2 different sizes. There's a nice storage in here. There's another power outlet there. None of their USB port. There's only one USB port up front here, so that's interesting. The glove compartment It's pretty big. It's lined with felt. It's damped. It's a nice size. And then you can see here, panoramic sunroof comes standard on the mid-trims and up. Huge sunroof. You can actually get it on the base model if you want. It's a really nice feature to have. It does have a power sunshade along with rear sunshades in the back. Power retractable for the rear window. Manual on the side windows as well. Overall, I think the interior of the Cadenza is certainly an improvement over the old one. They kind of added more driver assistance features, a little bit more luxury, updated tech. And I think that a lot of buyers are going to be pretty impressed when they first take a look at the inside of this redesigned model. The rear seat of the Cadenza is also a really nice place to spend time. When you buy a full-size sedan like this, you expect it to have a huge back seat. The Cadenza certainly delivers. Now stepping back here, you can see this is where I have the front seat front seats when I'm driving. You can see I have plenty of space back here. Now I'm pretty short. I'm only 5'7", but I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to sit back here on a long trip at all. Now you can see the rear seat is still pretty nice. You have heated rear seats back here. You have these manual sunshades, as I said, and then you have your own set of vents. Not a tri-zone climate control system, though. That's surprising, but you do have dual map pockets. Now, as I said earlier, the seats don't fold down, but you do have a nice little armrest here with more cup holders, and then there is a little ski pass-through here if you need to have longer items go in through the trunk. Now this particular model has the power opening and closing trunk. It is a smart trunk, so if you stand back here with the key for 3 seconds, it'll open up for you automatically. You can see the trunk is pretty big. It measures about 16 cubic feet of space. Really nice deep trunk. It has a pretty large opening as well. These hinges won't crush your cargo, but they do eat into your cargo a little bit. You can see here, looking underneath here, underneath the floor, you do have a temporary spare, so it's good to see that Kia decided to give you that. And overall, the trunk is nice. Just know that the rear seats don't fold down. Now underneath the hood of the latest Cadenza, you're only going to get one engine choice. This is the company's 3.3-liter gasoline direct injection V6. It's a little bit smaller than the V6 that I showed you guys in the Genesis G80 or the Hyundai Genesis. In this application, it makes 290 horsepower and 253 pound-feet of torque. Now those numbers are actually slightly down versus last year. I think you lost like 4 horsepower, which isn't much. Kia says they beefed up the mid-range. It has a new transmission. It has an 8-speed automatic now as opposed to the 6-speed auto. The vehicle weighs roughly around 3,700 pounds. It's front-wheel drive only. Now, fuel economy is rated at 20 in the city, 28 in the highway. They improved it slightly versus last year, like 1 mpg. It does run on regular gas. Let's get out on the road and see how it all works, shall we? So about 3 years ago, when I showed you guys the first generation Cadenza, the all-new model, I was relatively impressed with it. I was really surprised with how Audi-like the design was, how the interior was really nice, it was comfortable. Now, as you guys know, if you guys know me at least, full-size sedans like this aren't my cup of tea. I mean, they're really comfortable, they're really nice on long trips, but I prefer things that are smaller, sportier, more fun to drive. However, you know, that's not the mission of this vehicle. So, with the old Cadenza, I remembered it had a couple of things that I thought need improvements. So let's take a look at this second generation model and see if Kia has addressed some of the issues that I found with the old model. Now, one thing I really love immediately about the Cadenza versus the Optima is this lovely V6 engine. And if you want a V6 in your Kia sedan, you're going to have to go with this one because the Optima only offers a turbo 4 or a naturally aspirated 4 or a hybrid system, which I really like the fact that this has a V6. It just makes the vehicle a lot smoother. It sounds better. And it goes pretty well when you put your foot down. Now, I have the transmission in its sport mode there, and what I'm noticing is the transmission shifts really well. It's really smooth shifting. The 8-speed automatic keeps the engine in the meat of its power band. It's a really well-matched transmission. So the 8-speed is definitely an improvement over the 6-speed of the previous generation. Now, let's put the drive mode here back into Smart, because I actually drove the vehicle in the Smart drive mode, which I have to say, the name of the drive mode is stupid. I think they should have called it Adaptive or Intelligent or something. Smart just seems kind of cheesy to me. What it basically does is it alters the drive mode based on, you know, how you're driving the vehicle. If I'm driving efficiently, it'll go to Eco. If I'm driving normally, it'll stay in Comfort. And then if I drive aggressively, I floor it, it'll go into its Sport setting. Which I don't really find I notice too much of a difference. This vehicle doesn't have adaptive suspension. It really just changes the weight of the steering and the throttle response and the transmission programming. That's hilarious. Now I turned off the traction control there. You can see this vehicle will do a nice little burnout, even though the tires are pretty wide. Now, expect a 0 to 60 time of just under 7 seconds with this car, which is faster than the Optima. The Turbo 4 and the Optima is really disappointing in terms of performance. This to me feels like a 6.8 second car. Now it is slower than vehicles like the Toyota Avalon, the Nissan Maxima, or the Buick LaCrosse, which is a little bit disappointing. I feel like Kia may have overstated the horsepower numbers of this car slightly because it feels really light on torque. The engine is smooth enough and it makes a decent noise, but you really have to put your foot down hard to feel any acceleration. The fact that this is a smaller V6, a 3.3 liter, definitely doesn't help. Now, when it comes to the steering, this is a full-size sedan, so I'm going to put it into its sport setting here, see if I can try to feel anything with the road. And the steering, I have to say, is pretty numb. You don't really know what the front tires are doing. It's precise enough, it changes direction okay, but the body just leans heavily. I mean, going around this corner here, oh my God, you shouldn't be pushing this full-size sedan so quickly. You really need to drive it at a more relaxed pace. But, I mean, it's not an unsafe car. It just doesn't inspire much confidence when you're hustling it through, you know, these narrow back roads. What it does do is it gives you a pretty nice ride. It's a very soft, somewhat floaty ride. The suspension kind of will jolt along as you go over bumps, which can be a little bit, you know, sickening to some people. I don't think so for me, but overall it's a really nice, easy drive. You're really going to appreciate it on long highway commutes when you're kind of just cruising along and driving this vehicle at a really relaxed pace. Now, in terms of the noise, you expect a car like this to be quiet, and the engine makes decent noises. What I did hear a lot of, surprisingly, was road noise. I'm not entirely sure if it's the tires that Kia puts on this thing, or maybe they just need a little bit more sound insulation, but I was really surprised at the fact that this thing had a noticeable amount of road noise, which is a little annoying, especially in this vehicle in this class. In terms of the driver assistance tech features, the one thing I really hate about this car is the fact that there's no active lane keep assist. All it has is just a lane departure warning, which every time you go toward the lane, it does that stupid annoying beep that I hate so much. It just tells everybody in the cabin that you're a terrible driver and that you can't seem to stay in your lanes. I wish that Kia had gotten rid of the beep, went with a subtle vibration like in the Genesis G80, and had the active correcting lane keep assist function. Okay. The burnouts are kind of funny, I have to admit. Now, one thing surprisingly this vehicle doesn't have is not really any torque steer. It's nice because it's just really smooth power, and I don't feel the wheel tugging at me, even though this is a powerful front-wheel drive car. Could Kia offer all-wheel drive in this car? Sure. It would be nice if they offered all-wheel drive. It doesn't really need it unless you live in the snowbelt state. It doesn't improve handling or whatnot. It just improves traction. But when you leave the traction control on, I find that the vehicle just kind of accelerates nicely. It's really relaxed, easy to drive. And when you're kind of just driving it, at a really nice pace, you're going to really appreciate all the perks that this car definitely offers. Now, in terms of driver assistance, I mentioned no lane keep assist. What it does have is forward collision alert with automatic emergency braking. It has pedestrian detection. It has full speed range adaptive cruise control. It has blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. It has lane change assist. So it has all the other driver assistance features. I just wish it had the active lane keep assist function just to complete the entire package. Now let's talk a little bit about the fuel economy, because this thing is rated decently at 2028. I've been averaging about 19.5 miles per gallon in my week's worth of testing, and mostly city driving, so pretty much right in line with the EPA. I was able to push it up to about 26 miles per gallon on the highway. I think this thing would improve the highway MPG if it had cylinder deactivation, if it had start-stop technology, which is missing that feature in this particular generation. Now, let's talk a little bit about the price, because this is a class above the Optima. So how much more are you going to pay for this car? Well, the new Cadenza starts at just under $32,000, like $31,900, which makes it right in line with all of its competitors. I believe an Avalon is like $2,000 more. A Maxima is like $500 more. The LaCrosse is about the same price. A Taurus is a lot cheaper. However, the Taurus has a 2-liter turbo 4 as the base engine. So to go with a V6 is really going to be in the 30s. There is a premium technology package trim level that you can get that's like $38,000. I recommend going with that one because it gives you the 19-inch wheels, the LED headlights, the Pano sunroof, the full active driver assistance features, the heated and cooled seats. My tester being the limited model, the SXL, tacks on the power closing trunk, heads-up display, the diamond quilted leather seats, the heated rear seats, the micro suede in the headliner. It's pretty expensive when you go for this model. It's like $45,000. Now that is the most expensive Cadenza, and it does make it a little bit cheaper than the LaCrosse that I showed you. However, the LaCrosse offers all-wheel drive. It has massaging seats, which this doesn't have. An Avalon, a Maxima, a Zero, this car's platform mate, is going to be roughly about $5,000 cheaper than this fully loaded model. That's funny. That's funny. You know, even though this is a relaxed full-size sedan, it makes good noises and it goes pretty well. So I think it drives better than the Optima. Sure, it's not quite as sporty, but you do get a sense of a more luxurious, more upscale car if you guys decide to go with the Cadenza. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview of this 2017 Kia Cadenza. If you are one of those few people that are in the market for a full-size sedan, you don't want to do the SUV, but also you don't want to go for a really expensive luxury car like a Lexus, like a BMW or Mercedes, you may want to take a look at this, as it offers, you know, lots of space of a full-size luxury sedan at roughly half the price. Because even though this is $45,000, if you wanted to compare this vehicle in terms of size to like a BMW 5 Series, it's roughly about half the price. Even though it's definitely not going to be as, you know, fun to drive, it does give you a lot of features for your money, and that's technically what is a strong selling feature about this full-size non-premium segment. But anyways, if you guys are also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, keep subscribed to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.